This is the entire screen. So, given the topic on problem identification and its components. So, we'll be talking about the problems, we'll be talking about the problem statement, we will be talking about the types of variables and so many other things, right? Meanwhile, if you have any questions, you can stop in between and you can ask me the answer. Otherwise, you can write in the chat box and just communicate so that I can, answer your query there and then. Yes, so the learning outcomes for this session would be, I'll be going for the problem identification, types of variables, formulating research questions and objectives, which is very important, and topic identification also I'll be speaking about. So let's begin with the formulation of the problem in the research. What we say is the problem which is, well formulated is half solved, or well begin is almost done, right? So the formulation of the problem is very essential than its solution, right? Because if the problem is well addressed in the research, that means its solution would have been a very very up to the mark, and very your whole entire research process will flow smoothly. But if the problem is not identified well, then again it will be a problem, because most of the time we think of symptoms and we say, okay, symptoms, that is a problem. No, but that is not a problem is something which is lying somewhere else, which we need to find out, we need to dig out. So again, problem discovery and definition, this is the first step of any research process. This is again a sort of research process where we start with the problem discovery or problem identification. Then we define the problem in a operational terms. Then we select the basic research method, we go for sampling, we go for data, then we go for data processing, data analysis, and then finally the report. But when the first step itself is wrong, that means entire this process, which is spanned over 3 years, is going to be futile. So the first step is problem identification and discovery is very, very, very important part in your research. What we say is, like, most of the time when I speak to the people on what topic would you like to work, they say, okay, well, we'll like to work on the COVID. Now COVID is already over, right? There's no point in solving the problem which is not existing, right? So always try to find, or always try to think of a problem which will remain there, or which will keep on changing with times. A problem has to be dynamic, that means it changes with the environment, right? So problem identification is the first step, foremost step, and the very, very, very important step in the entire your research process. I just begin with a seahorse fable. I think most of you must have read this or listened from your grandparents. This one, there was a seahorse. He wanted to find his fortune. So what happened? Like, he went in terms of he dived deep into the sea, and then he said, he fine, I would today I'll find my fortune. On the way he met an eel, and eel said, oh hey seahorse, where are you going? So he said, I'm going to find my fortune. So eel said, I have a scooter, you give me 2 cents for this, purchase the scooter and you'll move fast. So seahorse had 8 cents, out of which 2 cents he gave to eel. Then moving further, he found a starfish. Starfish said, okay, where you are going? He said, okay, I'm going to find my fortune. So he said, okay, fortune, that's again ahead. You do one thing, you take this, jet from me, and wherever there is some hurdle, just, propel that jet and keep on moving smoothly. But I'll cost you 3 cents for this. So out of 8 cents, 5 cents he had already finished. Now, next, again came an octopus. Octopus said, okay, oh, where are you going? So the seahorse said, I'm going to find my fortune. See, I have a scooter, I've spent this, I have a jet propeller also that, gives me way. And the octopus said, okay, fine, I give you some food to eat, so that because you have to, go a long way ahead, so have some food. But give me remaining 3 cents. So that means he finished all his 3 cents over there, and he kept on moving until a day, one day, or maybe another, after such time, he found a, whale over there. So we said, okay, you're looking tired with so many things. Where you're coming from and what you're looking for. So seahorse said, yes, I'm looking for my fortune. So the whale opened her mouth and said, okay, see, go inside, it's there. So seahorse, without looking here and there, just went inside her mouth, and as a result of which he was nowhere. So this is the same thing, it happens in the research. When the problem is not well addressed, the problem is not well identified, then we move on here and there, and then we lost somewhere, right? We lost somewhere, our results are not okay, our analysis is not okay, most of the things they are not okay, and they are not up to the mark. So as a result of this, our entire process of this, what we call as research, it goes futile. So here it's very important for us to identify the problem, and that too in a very well weird way. So shall I proceed? Is it clear? Shall I proceed?
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Yes, okay. Yeah. So next, again, the question is the problem. What is a problem? Problem is a question raised for an inquiry, consideration, or a solution. Problem is something for which we want to have a solution, right? Research is what? In the research, what do? You identify a problem and try to find a solution, fix it up, and try to find it a solution either through literature, or through experiment, or through survey, or through multiple means, right? So generally what we do with the problems, at times there are number, see, most of us must be working somewhere, there are a lot of problems in our day-to-day life. What we do, we'll say, okay, at times we ignore them, fine, chal raha hai, let it be, let someone else take the lead and he will solve it on our behalf. So we keep quiet and we ignore the problems and we keep moving, right? Another is we talk about them. We talk about the problems with our colleagues. We talk about the problems in our family members. We talk about the problems with, a certain, group of people or peers or friends. And we discuss, okay, problem to hai, but then we have to find out the solution. But solution nobody, wants to, come out with. But then again, a certain cohort of people, they try to find solution to these problems. Let's say some problem is existing in the society and they try to find out the solution. What is that which makes people unhappy in a workplace? So they try to find out, okay, what is it? Let's talk to the people. What is that it lets the students to cram before the exams? Why the and what is, like, what the role social media is playing in the distraction of the students? This is all about the problems, and we talk about them. At times we ignore, okay, chalo, when the child will grow up, he will learn himself. At times we speak, okay, he's spending too much time on the social media, is not studying at all. And at times we try to find out a solution to these problems. Okay, what is it that makes a child to look for the social media, and how can we counter this particular part, right? So finding a research problem, we have number of ways from where we can find a research problem. The first is a personal experience. Let's say I'm teaching at a university and I see a lot of people, youngsters smoking outside the campus. So here is the problem. So from my personal experience, I would like to find out, okay, what is it that instills or that stimulates the persons to go for smoking at a very early age. Then practical experience is where you work in a in an organization and you have practical exposure. Let's say you are trying to launch a new product, but practically within the you have you have visited the places, you have visited the rural areas, and you are very much aware ki fine what type of products will be available. So that this way you will try to make a product through your research that will on the base that would be on the basis of your practical experience or the insights which you get from the customers. Then curiosity through review of literature, right? Review of literature is a very important part which gives you some curiosity ki fine, here is the problem. I will go through the literature. I'll see if, let's say, yesterday someone came to me and he wanted to study the wine behavior of women, right? So we went to the literature, ki what is the, what exactly is the wine behavior of the women. And then again, he found certain insights. And then it's finally fine. Through literature, we found that women exhibit, who take wine, they exhibit entirely different behavior as compared to the women, or as compared to the men. So there is a research which needs to be taken up. Like at times, let's say, if I'll give you another example of, let's say, homestay tourism, right? So homestay tourism says that, it is a sort of community development, right? So through literature only we came to know, okay, fine, it's a community development. But then what is the actual problem is, when we visited, this is the real example which I'm sharing with you, of one of my students. So she wanted to do on the rural homestay, but we went to the literature, right? The literature says, ki fine, these are the things, these are the XYZ areas where we need to browse. And the rural homestays, they lead to community development. But then, when we visited those homestays, we found that, why people go for rural homestays, it is because the children have already left the parents. The children are already staying somewhere outside the states, but it is the parents who are staying all alone. So staying all alone by the parents, that led to the development of another new research area, that is, working on the rural homestays. What is it that makes people do go for the rural homestays? Income, community development is one side, but actual reason is the kids are not with them. People are staying outside. So as a result of which, they are into, they find, "Okay, we have two homes, let's make one home as a homestay. People will come, people will go, and we will be, engaged in that," right? So this is the information gap, right? Because information which is available in the literature, and the information which we gathered from moving across the areas, right? So this information gaps again, helps us to find out a problem. And at times there is a controversy or a social issue, let's say, on women empowerment, or nowadays it's, the gender harassment, right? Men harassment is also there, right? So these are the social issues for which you want to have the this thing, and want to have a solution for this. And replication, at times we replicate the older studies, we replicate the previous studies. And group discussion with peers and experts also leads to formulation of a problem, or finding a particular problem, right? And then there are, other people, at times you notice other people, okay, why the person is behaving in a particular manner. That could also lead to the formulation of a problem, right? So what is a research problem? It is an issue or a concern which a researcher try to solve in his research, right? And poorly defined problem does not lead to useful results. So again, I'll go again back to the story of seahorse, because he knew that fortune lies within himself, right? Fortune is coming ahead, so he would not have dived in, so deep into the sea, and then spend 8 cents, whatever the amount he has, and then again went to the whale of mouth of a whale, right? So rightly said, a problem which is well identified or well defined is half solved. And poorly defined problems, they create confusion and do not, allow the researcher to develop a good research design. So that when the first step itself is wrong, then you further, keep on, doing the mistakes, right? And at the end, when you spend all the 3 years together, and then you say, okay, the problem exists nowhere. So ideally, we suggest that, you should spend more time on problem identification, or you should have more time on, problem identification and problem finding. Then, once the problem is identified, then the research becomes very easy and easy to comprehend also, right? So this is the process. First of all, we go for the situation analysis, right? Let's say, I'll give you the example of telehealth and telemedicine. After COVID-19, telehealth and telemedicine, they picked up like anything. So the situation was that, we all were at our homes, right? There was no point of going out. So, you know, teleconsultations, they took a lead that time. Then identify the symptoms, right? You have to identify the symptoms, like what are the things that lead to a particular situation. Like, I'll give you the same example of telehealth or telemedicine. What are the symptoms? Like, people are sitting at homes, they don't have access to medical facilities. So what is that? These are the symptoms which led to the in fact, which led to increase in the telehealth or telemedicine on mobile applications, right? Then you write a managerial decision statement in the context that, fine, due to people staying at homes, they need to have the consultations, and as a result of which they need to follow doctor on the WhatsApp or apps, and for this, telehealth or telemedicine is required. Then you determine the unit of analysis. Unit of analysis means who at times provides you the data. Suppose you want to see whether the people are satisfied with the telehealth or telemedicine, then you will see unit of analysis, like who would be your respondents, right? And then you identify the variables for that. Let's say telehealth or telemedicine, then you will identify the variables which are the factors which lead to the satisfaction for telehealth and telemedicine, and then you state the research questions and research objectives in mind. We'll do this practical exercise also. So first of all, my first thing is, understand the situation. Then you have to identify the symptoms, because symptoms can be confusing, right? I give a very simple example of dishwasher. When it was initially launched in India, that was a big flop, right? Because why? When we did the survey, they said, "Ki fine." When we talk to people, fine. We have old household maids at our places which are very economical, and we generally don't need a dishwasher, right? But then the company, when actually conducted the survey, they found that yes, it is one of the reason, but the major reason for people not looking for the dishwasher is that Indian utensils are quite greasy, right? So grease, this dishwasher is unable to clean that grease, right? But now, since they have modified the product and it's being extensively used, let's say a 20-year-old neighborhood swimming association in a major city. This is an organization, and the symptoms are membership has been declining for years. Reason being, they say that okay, new water park with wave pool and water slides moved into a town few years ago. These are the symptoms, right? These are the symptoms. Please try to understand this, because see, a 20-year-old neighborhood swimming pool, that is an association. In the previous years, the membership has been declined because now no new people are joining, right? Because they say, okay, fine, the reason could be the new water park with wave pool and water slides has moved into the town. So on the basis of this problem and definition, the basis of symptoms is that neighborhood residents prefer expensive water park and have negative image of the swimming pool, right? Now, but what is the true problem? Anyone who would like to contribute here? What do you think is the true problem here? Yes, anyone, you can unmute yourself and you can say. Even you can write in the chat box also. Yes. What do you think could be the problem? Actual problem. Problem based on the symptoms is that a new, a new swimming pool has came, but that is a symptom. But what is the actual problem? Anyone who would like to answer? No one. So the actual problem would be here that demographic changes, right? Now, demographic changes says that children in this 20-year-old neighborhood have grown up and older residents no longer swim anywhere, right? So this was the true problem. So ideally, on the basis of symptoms, we can identify that okay, new water park has come. Let's start the promotion. Let's start with something else. But the problem was something different, right? So with this type of problem, again, the solution again and the research has to be different. So ideally, you need to define the research problem in a general way, right? But then be a bit negative, be make it a narrow. Let's say, for example, does negative news interest people more than the positive news? So you need to narrow it down by rethinking over the problem. Like, let's say you need to say, does negative news such as robbery, corruption, internet interest, they interest people more than the positive news like country economic growth. So this is how the problem is written in a more specific way and in a more concerned way. So how you define the problem, study the subject thoroughly and do a preliminary survey or a pilot survey. Preliminary or a pilot survey is a survey when you start the research. Ideally, science people do take a preliminary or a pilot survey before starting a actual survey. The reason being that in pilot study or pilot survey, you come to know, yes, you know the problem is there, and we will be able to get the data, we will be able to get the information whatever is the required. So once the problem is there, then you need to rephrase, right? Rephrase the problem into an operational term so that it is being addressed. First is, let's say initial research question is, what things can be done to improve the attitude towards swimming pool? Remember the swimming pool example, right? That means the sales is declining and all that. So here thing is, like, what things can be done to improve the attitude towards swimming pool? So after the problem has understood and available literature has taken place, this question can be rephrased as, how do the type of facilities and pricing relate to families attitude towards the swimming facilities, right? How do the type of facilities, again, we are narrowing it down, right? What things could be multiple things, right? But then we need to narrow it down from the research point of view also. That means, how do the type of facilities and pricing relate to families attitude towards swimming facilities? This is a simple sample problem statement. That is where we wanted to measure the telehealth interventions but of service quality. So what we found that the service quality scales like SERVQL, SERVQF, and they are there, but they measure the service quality with respect to the products. Telehealth, telemedicine is something which is related to the service oriented. So for this we need to have a different scale. So you can read through this problem statement. There are non-standardized service quality measurement scales which hinder the adoption of medical technology interventions like telehealth among the practitioners. However, few of the previous studies have validated as SERVQL and SERVQF, but when again, you know, the medical in medical terms, these SERVQL and SERVQF, they are not feasible, they are not up to the mark. So for this, we need to have a comprehensive model or all inclusive model which covering all the dimensions related to medical service quality, right? So this is the broad objectives and how we conduct. So next is the determine the unit of analysis. Determining the unit of analysis means that who and what should provide you the data and at what level of aggregation, right? So first of all, let's say for example, attitude of women towards attitude women empowerment. So that means only women will be there in this sample. Only women will be there who will be joining or who will be filling up your questionnaire, and you can do a research on them also. Now, this was again, when we determine the unit of analysis, the very important part is a variable, identifying the variable. Variables, there are multiple types of variables, like say dependent variable. When dependent variable means, let's say this value is dependent on other variable. Let's say, the IQ is dependent on, let's say age or the diet we eat, right? Job stability is dependent upon the perks. right? Job stability is the dependent variable, and perks or fringe benefits, they may be your independent variables. Now the question comes, what is a mediating variable? Mediating variable means like it explains the relationship between dependent and independent variable. A mediating variable, as the name indicates, it's a mediator. Let's say, A has got a direct relationship with B, but when C is entered into that, the relationship becomes indirect, and they want to see whether the indirect relationship is strong or not. If the indirect relationship is strong, that means it is a partial mediation. And if the direct relationship after the entry of independent this mediating variable, it becomes uh, insignificant. I'll give you an example also. That means it is full mediation. Mediating variables means, like, let's say, I'll give you a simple workation. I hope you all understand what is workation. So I hope you all understand what is workation. Workation means work vacation. Let's say these IT sector people, what they are doing is they are doing work, they are always taking work from home, right? They take work from home, and these IT people, uh, let's say they are working from home, and whether they work at here, sitting at their hometown, or at office, or at some other location, let's say Manali, or some at hill station. Because I'll give you an example. When Delhi was overcrowded with lot of pollution, so most of the IT professionals went to the nearby hills, right? So they work there. So that is workation, right? So let's say workation leads to employee well-being, right? Workation, if you give the work plus workation, that makes you happy, that gives you employee well-being. But then if some psychological benefits are also added along with this, so that that relationship is, if the psychological benefits, after adding psychological benefits, the relationship between workation and dependent variable employee wellness becomes insignificant. That means psychological capital is a strong variable, right? That is, it is a strong variable. And if that that remains significant, that means it should show the partial mediation. I'll give you one more example in the coming slides also, which will make you even more clear. The moderating variable is something which gives you the strength, which shows you the strength of the variables. Moderating variable means that, let's say, if my class is at morning 5 o'clock, that means there is a attendance is very thin, right? People don't come, right? People will not join. And the same class, if it is at 11 o'clock or 12 o'clock, that means more people will join. So this indicates that timing is a moderating variable. It strengthens the relationship between the dependent and independent variable. Now, another concept is the latent variable. Latent variable, let's say, a latent variable is, let's say you go to a movie, right? You go to a movie and you see that movie, but in that movie, that movie is nothing, right? Movie is built up of actors, or movies, running in the cinema halls. The that movie itself is nothing but so many things, songs, audio, video, fights, actor, hero, heroine, parents, they all together make one movie, right? So that means, let's say, take the example of your kitchen. Kitchen is nothing, right? But kitchen is made up of utensils. Kitchen is made up of your, grocery items. Kitchen is there is a fridge in the kitchen also, right? So that means kitchen is a latent variable which is being explained by various variables, like, let's say, cooker is there, induction is there, gas is there, right? So this is a latent variable. Means latent variable as such is nothing, but so many other variables joined to make a latent variable. Next is your observed variable, which is also called as measured variable. And at times, there are certain control variables. Control variables means that which is held constant in a research. It is not a variable of interest. Let's say you're doing an experiment, right? On a plant, you're giving certain hormones to a plant, but at the end you say, "Ki fine, I have to restrict the light." So that light is a control variable, right? Is that clear? Shall I proceed? Any questions? Yes, any questions still here? Shall I proceed ahead? Yes, any questions? Okay. Now, moderator variable, as I said, it strengthens the relationship between the dependent and independent variable, right? It gives you a particular direction. Let's say moderator is a qualitative at times. For example, it covers the age, sex, race, and quantitative, that is the level of the reward, right? That affects the direction or strength of the relationship between a independent or a predictor variable and a dependent or a criterion variable. Specifically, within a correlational analysis framework, the moderator is a third variable that affects the zero order correlation between the moderator is a third variable that affects the relationship between other two variables. Uh, See, this here, if we say memorable tourism experience leads to mindfulness and restoration, is your moderating variable. Moderating variable is generally showed by a slanting arrow, whereas the center mediated variable is a mediating variable. Here, independent variable, mediator variable is the center one, and the outcome variable is the dependent variable. So, theory of mediation says that it explains the reasons of relationship between independent and dependent variable, right? First of all, mediator must be a causal result of independent variable, means mediator must be digital marketing must lead or make a product image and a causal antecedent, right? uh, and again, product image should be one of the factor that leads to increase in sales, right? So this says that digital marketing leads to product image, and this product image, that is a mediating variable. Digital marketing has direct relationship with sales, but then when we add the product image over there, so that means digital marketing has got a direct relationship with the product image, and product image further leads to sales, right? Or we can also put it that way: digital marketing is impacts sales through product image, right? So this is also one of the way where we state the hypothesis. So this is the certain activity which I took. Like, lack of sleep significantly affects learning in a 10-year-old boys. So here the dependent variable is learning and independent variable is lack of sleep. Similarly, social class has a significant impact on IQ scores. IQ scores is your dependent variable, and social class is your independent variable. Next is stressful experiences significantly increase the likelihood of headaches. So stressful experiences, they are your independent variables, and the likelihood of headaches is your dependent variable. Next is time of day has a significant effect on alertness. Yes, very true. So here again, time of the day is an independent variable, and uh, the effect on alertness is your dependent variable. I hope it's clear. Any questions here?
Oh, ma'am.
Shall I proceed? Okay. Now coming to the operational definition. Operational definition is a contextual definition
Ma'am,
where, yes,
can I just present it in slideshow, ma'am?
yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. So operational definition is the articulation of operationalization. Means operational definition is something where you modify the actual definition in context of your study, right? In, let's say, I'll give you example. Let's say mobile healthcare application that saves my time. So now, time of what, right? It saves my time of going to the doctor, and in the context of your study, you will say that that mobile health care application could be defined an application that reduces the time of going to a doctor. That means that here you are operationalizing, you are changing the context of a definition, or changing the definition in context of your study. Right? I'll give you very this simple, very example. I hope you must be knowing this. This is the Unified Theory of Acceptance and Use of Technology by Venkatesh et al. Now, Venkatesh et al. Developed and designed a model which comprised of performance expectancy says that using a healthcare application, or let's say using any particular application, or let's say online shopping, increases my performance, right? How it increases your performance? It saves my time of going in and going out. Let's say whether it's, let's say we are in the north, right, when there is extreme cold, so we don't feel like going out. So by that time, if online, if you want to add or something online, the things is delivered at my home. So that means it is increasing my performance, it's saving my time, right? Effort expectancy says that whatever the whatever I'm using, whatever the app or whatever the technology I'm using, let's say a smartwatch I'm using, it is easy to use, it is easy to learn, right? Social influence says that my friend is using smartwatch, that is why I also have to use it, because my friend is my well-wisher, and if she's saying if I use smartwatch, yes, definitely I'll be using it. Then facilitating conditions says that proper infrastructural information, proper well-defined infrastructure is available, and for making it operational, right? Let's say online learning is there, right? Now I have the internet connection, I have a particular cabin to sit at. That means the infrastructure is quite good here to conduct the classes online, right? Hedonic motivation means that there's some technology which you're using that is full of fun, excitement. Price value says that it saves your time, and habit means I'm using. So now here you can say age, gender, and experience, they are the moderating variables. As I explained, they strengthen the relationship, right? Age means, let's say the youngsters, right? Youngsters are there, so they are prone to more online shopping as compared to our own parents who are in the older or elderly age, right? So likewise gender, or likewise experience. If you have already experience of using mobile, or and any experience of using any application, then it is easy to use. So this is the moderating variable: age, gender, and experience. These are definitions which I have already covered. Now, these are the definitions given by Venkatesh et al. Right now, when the definition has to be modified in context, in particular context, then it becomes an operational definition. Now see, previous slide, we see performance expectancy says what? Says the degree to which a technology will provide benefits in performing certain activities, right? And here, if I modify this definition in context to my own study, it says that the extent of the participants believe that his job performance will be enhanced by using telehealth equipment, right? Now, again, if I say the effort expectancy says how easy it is to use, the degree of ease or effort, right? So here also, if I modify this definition, means it refers to the perception of user about how easy it is to use the telehealth equipment. That means operationalizing, or modifying in context of your own research, right? Let's say, I'll give you a simple example. Let's say this is the problem. You can spend a minute on this. Online retailers also face logistic challenge of delivering products to vast geographical areas, as India consisting of 6,000 small cities and 0.6 million villages, right? So consequently, the online retail was only 4% initially. These figures clearly indicated that though there is a steep rise in the internet, but yes, again, the online shopping has not increased much. Therefore, there is an indispensable requirement to investigate the variables which facilitate e-retailers to acquire additional consumers. See, this is how we formulate the research problem, right? Problem statement is only which starts from therefore. There is an indispensable requirement to investigate the variables which facilitate e-retailers to acquire additional consumers in an emerging context like Indian. So Indian systems, they are very much familiar with the other developing countries where you can use this research. So this is the example, right? How you formulate the research problem, right? Now let's say uh, there are research questions, objectives, and hypotheses framed accordingly. For example, as per this problem, the first question which comes to my mind is what is the effect of perceived enjoyment on customer satisfaction? Right? But if I feel that I enjoy online shopping, I will do it more because it is saving my time, it is fun, and a lot of the variety, lot of the products are available online. So here it would be to examine the effect of perceived enjoyment on consumer satisfaction in online shopping context. And H1 says that there is a significant positive association between enjoyment and customer satisfaction. Now, again, second research question on the basis of this problem is to what extent does the implementation of pay on delivery mode of payment is optimal for an online retailer, right? Now, pay on delivery mode, when I was doing my research somewhere in the 2012, so that time even the Amazon had not entered the Indian market, right? So what I did, when I was talking to the people, I found that it's the cash on delivery mode of payment which increases the sales, right? Because 2012 may people were not used to using the debit card and credit card as well as this Paytm and all, they were not there, right? So again, while talking to the people or while taking the survey, it is the cash on delivery mode of payment that really enriched, that enhanced the online shopping. So what I did as a part of my research, I just made it a construct, validated it, made a scale out of it, revalidated it, and used it with U.2, which I explained earlier. Uh, and again, that a new construct was developed, that is, new variable was developed, that is pay on delivery mode of payment, right? I worked on cash on delivery mode of payment, but then when there was demonetization, so that cash on delivery mode of payment, I just shifted it to pay on delivery mode of payment, right? So again, here it is to understand the role of POD mode of payment in increasing the customer satisfaction. And again, the related hypothesis, there is a significant positive association between POD mode of payment and customer satisfaction. Similarly, to what extent do the social media interactions means they spur or they increase the customer satisfaction in online shopping context? And here also to analyze how social media interactions spur the customer satisfaction. And there's a significant positive association between social media interaction and customer satisfaction. Then next is what is the influence of social norms on customer satisfaction? And here the objective is to understand the influence of social norms on customer satisfaction. And last is that reverse logistics. Nowadays it is introduced this reverse logistics. That means suppose if you don't like the pay, don't like the product, you can return it also, right? So what is the propensity that implementation of reverse logistics improves customer satisfaction with online shopping? So here it is to understand the impact of reverse logistics on customer satisfaction, and there is a significant positive association between reverse logistics and customer satisfaction. And this is again, I added the one mediating variable, virtual try-on technology, because this is very common these days. And virtual try-on technology is used by the even Tanish also, Biba also, and Lenskart also. And this is the model which is being framed. See, here, these are the 5 variables, they lead to customer satisfaction. VTO is the virtual try-on technology. That means virtual try-on technology, that is your mediating variable. That this indicates that customer satisfaction leads to repurchase intention, but then when virtual try-on technology is added, that enhances the relationship, right? And experience of weak digital literacy that moderates the relationship between these independent variables. They are the perceived enjoyment, POD, social media, and customer satisfaction. This is how we build up a model out of this small research problem. That is, again, there is an which says that there is an indispensable requirement to identify or investigate the variables, right? So then these are all the variables, the variables like perceived enjoyment, POD, social media, social norms, reverse logistics, they are your independent variables. Customer satisfaction is your dependent variable. Now, when customer satisfaction has impact on repurchase intention, then customer satisfaction becomes your independent and repurchase becomes your dependent. And then finally, there is virtual try-on technology. That is a mediating variable, right? So I hope problem part is clear. I hope the identification of problem and how to write the problem statement is clear. Yes,
Yes, ma'am.
any questions over here? Or let's conclude, only 5 minutes time is left. So let me conclude, then we'll have a QA round, right? So now I'll speak about attributes of a good research topic. First of all, you need to see whether your topic is feasible. Now, feasible means if somebody wants to study, impact of COVID on consumer preferences, COVID is gone nowadays. So that is not, feasible nowadays, right? Disaster management could be there, but COVID ke upar research is all futile, right? Appropriate means whether your research questions are clearly stated, because research questions are very, very, very important, right? Problem identification, problem well identified is half solved, and research questions, they are, on the basis of which, your research is being done. So that's again worthwhile. Relevance, that means does the topic relate to your field of the study, right? Uh, are you not going, somewhere at place because at times, people come to me and they say, okay, we want to do research on this topic, but at times I say, okay, please try to see whether is it feasible to do research on this topic, right? Whether you will be able to conduct research on this topic, right? Whether you will be able to get the data on this topic, right? Whether people will share their data on this topic, right? So this is so many things which you have to see whether the data is available for this topic or not, right? Then research idea generally comes with the rational and creative thinking. Rational thinking says that you list down. This is very important. Creative thinking says, creative thinking and rational creative thinking says, okay, fine, sit down calmly and list down all the ideas. Then you think of your personal preferences and create a relevant these preferences, whether which are related to your objectives. And when fine, I want to do a research on telehealth, but that telehealth, whether I do research on women, or shall I take the geriatric or elder people, or shall I take some instrument and measure, or shall I take some mothers and or shall I take some people with postpartum depression? So what could be the my what could be my personal preference for this? And then I will make a tree. Okay, this is my first preference, second preference, third preference. Always have a plan B or C in your research, because the moment you will visit your guide, he or she may say, okay, the research is not feasible. What you will do? And then you think, brainstorm. Now, this is the creative thinking where you are giving some more importance to your personal preferences. But then when it comes to rational thinking, that means you look for the previously published projects, you look for the previous publications, you look for previous work, and then on the basis of your previous work or previous projects or previous solutions, you tend to try to identify the problem, right? Let's say there are 10 variables. You say, okay, 10 variables have been identified, but these 10 variables have not been studied with 11th one. Let's say I say if I use AI adoption with respect to e-recruitment, right? So I'll say, okay, fine. With respect to e-recruitment, I have identified these variables, but trust is one factor which has not been taken care of, right? So then I will include trust into that, because trust, AI tech trust, that could be validated as a reason for this, for the rational thinking. So here, hence, creative thinking versus rational thinking, you will have to think, right? It's very difficult, to at times, to sit with the ideas, right? So there are refining technique where you do the Delphi technique, you talk to the experts, you conduct a preliminary study, or you refine, you talk it with your friends, you discuss with your supervisor, and I say, okay, fine, I'll just, have Goldilocks test. I hope you all know Goldilocks. So, when you are going through a topic, so if you see that you have read it a lot of time before, and you understood the story, you can read it smoothly, bits and bits of this topic, that means it is very easy, don't go for this topic, right? Then at times when you see that there are more than 5 words on a page which are difficult to understand, right? Are you confused what is happening most of the time? You are not able to read in between the lines. Then, and when you read it, you find it very difficult. I think, see, I'll give you the example of my own candidate. When she came to me, we started working. Okay, she started, okay, I'll work on neuromarketing. I said, okay, fine, let's work on neuromarketing. But I thought, okay, neurotourism is a new field. Let's work on neurotourism. What happened? He started all the literature research and all that, bibliometric and creative, going to the Scopus databases, and then neurotourism. But when we had almost a research proposal ready with us, right? So what happened when we thought, okay, fine, we are doing on a research on neurotourism. Data in Indian context will be difficult to get, but yes, can let's talk to the industry experts. So we talked to few industry experts, like one was the academician, one was from Hotel Taj, one was, like Vice Hotels. They said neurotourism, it's not in India. From where you'll get the data, first of all. Then second is, you go to a hotel to spend some time. That time is your private time. And if somebody is monitoring your actions, he's seeing your eye movements, or he's putting ECG okay, locks on your head, so that becomes, you become irritated. It's very irritating, someone is, when you go to a hotel for some privacy, and someone is saying, okay, how you like it, how you do it, so we want to monitor your eye movement, we want to want your ECG while seeing this. So it's very frustrating. So they said, you won't be able to get the data on this, so better skip this topic. So we skipped that topic with our research proposal in our hand. We thought, okay, fine, let's leave it over there, we'll work on some other topic. That means it was too hard. Then and initially, before even research proposal, only we came to know, okay, fine, it's very hard, so let's stop it here and now, and we'll work some other topic, right? And just right. So this topic is new to you. Do you understand most of the things? And there should be certain concepts which may be new to you. And last is, when you read, your thought process has been provoked. So that means it is just right. So this is how you select the topic. And again, go for the rational as well as creative thinking. Try to identify the problem, because problem, when it is well identified, it is half solved. So with this, I stop sharing my screen, and over to you. Any questions? Yes.